Hello, and welcome to the Boys Upstairs Show. It's the Week 12 NFL show.
Woo!
Ooh,
Welcome back, everyone, to your not so regular scheduled programming. We're a little behind schedule. Tommy got called into the office last night at around an hour and a half before showtime to throw a wrench in everything. But we prevail,
Apologies.
we conquer, we adapt because that's what we do for you guys, the listeners. We got Thanksgiving coming up. Happy Thanksgiving or early Thanksgiving to everyone who celebrates. Um, yeah, so that'll be another fun week of football there. Last week of Maction too, so make sure you're watching all of that you can. Quick little week 11 recap. Um, NFC North, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about it. Chicago Bears are in first place. They are a wagon, and a little bit of data for Tommy here that I just remembered. The last time the Chicago Bears were 7-3 and in first place in the division came after a week 11 win against the Minnesota Vikings in 2018, and everyone remembers that 2018 Bears team. Let's just hope the end result isn't the same. So shout out Bears. Packers are
Shout out, shout out Cody Parkey, Jupiter,
shout
Florida.
negative shout out to Cody Parkey. Packers look average. The Lions look kind of shitty right now. Not gonna lie, they look kind of shitty. Um, although we'll get into some more NFC North talk here soon. Over to the AFC, the Chiefs are 5-5, but don't worry, we'll have plenty more to say about them. The Chargers are ass. I just want to put that out there. They are a disgusting football program, and a lot of people are making Andrew Luck comparisons to Justin Herbert right now, which I find a little disrespectful to Justin Herbert. And quick recap this week, and we'll just wrap it up. And there's also Drake May. So shout out Coby there.
Oh, also AFC, fuck Daniel Falele.
Yeah. Nickson and I were talking about that earlier. Ravens O-lineman getting a lot of hate. I'll play devil's advocate here and say, Lamar just has to get the ball out quicker.
True.
Nickson, where do you think that game ranked in Lamar's worst games of his career?
Third to last. I would say the Chiefs AFC. No, that
Yeah, I was
first
just
start.
including or not including playoff games.
Well, okay, regular season, that was his worst. But if you include playoff games, that was probably his third to last. So I would say Chargers, his first playoff game when he was a rookie,
Yeah.
Chiefs AFC championship game, and then that game. And then if we're talking just regular season, that was by far the worst he's ever looked.
But hey, Ravens are back to 500 now after being 2-5. So
Yes,
One and
sir.
five.
on the come up there. But 1-5, yeah. Otherwise, let's jump right into it. This is a big rivalry game here. Game one on the slate, the Steelers at the Bears. 1 o'clock Sunday, November 23rd. I will be located in the city of Chicago. But unless I win DWC Prods giveaway for tickets, shout out DWC Prods. I will probably not be attending that game, but I will be in the city. I will be there in the flesh. Boots are on the ground. If I see Anthony Rooney, it is on site. Shout out Tone. But Bears are 2.5 point favorites here. Total's 45.5. I'm gonna kick this off here because the Bears are the hottest team in football. And look, hasn't been pretty, guys. And I know everyone's heard it, especially me. I'm on a giant Bears echo chamber and social media and whatnot. I don't give a shit how pretty it is. I don't give a shit if we're winning 6-3, if we're winning 5-2, or if we're winning 50-40. Wins are wins. And as a Bears fan forever, I can say all I have seen in my lifetime is them choking those close games. And you see the late game drive, and you're like, well, it's over. They came back. We're not coming back from that. And this year, this team, this group just keeps finding a way to come back. It's good, better, best, baby. And very talented. Lots of turnovers on the defense. They're giving up a shit ton of yards, but turning the ball over a ton. Shout out Kevin Byard. Shout out Tremaine Edmonds. Shout out to Sean Wright. Um, Going through what he went through and having a huge pick on JJ last week. On the defensive side of the ball, I think the key is going to be, especially if Rodgers plays, just honestly just play like blanket cover four. Don't let him get a big play. I'd rather him throw for 300 of just checkdowns and not looking pretty. You can't let Rodgers get the big play. You can't let him get the big play. He's done it against the Bears his entire career. It doesn't matter what uniform he's in. He loves playing at Soldier Field. You cannot underestimate this offense. I was actually talking earlier about how I think the Bears should try out like a 5 or 6 linebacker package to combat Artie Smith's 04 personnel, considering Darnell Washington, the 311-pound tight end, is basically their WR2 right now. So that could be fun to watch. It's also Artie Smith, Dennis Allen revenge game. You saw those two barking at each other last year over a blowout in the NFC South, which is just like the most October Sunday thing ever. Look, guys, obviously I'm taking the Bears here. Two and a hook. I think that's a generous spread. I'm honestly surprised we were favored by more than a point and a half here. But the magic just keeps going on. And there's a lot of games that I go into, even with the way we're winning. I'm like, I just don't see the Bears winning this game. I'm preparing myself for a loss. These like 1 o'clock Sunday at Soldier Steelers games feel like they're ones that we win a lot. And I saw something like the Steelers haven't won at Soldier since it's been a long time, or they've only won one since like the 90s or whatever. So
I believe it's since like 84 or
yes,
one of those.
the Steelers do not play well at Soldier, but as I've said a lot on the show, I'm a big proponent of when stats like that come out, that's normally when the streak is broken. So let's hope that doesn't happen this week. I think the offense for the Bears is going to be more in tune. I think TJ Watt poses a little bit of a problem, but he's going to be lined up on Darnell Wright. Shouldn't be too much of an issue for him. That'll be a fun matchup to watch. Old secondary in Pittsburgh. I want to see some deep balls. I want to see our young guns running. I want to see Luther Burden. I want to see DJ Moore. And shout out Cole Kmet, who has still not come on the pod for having a great game last week, but lots of weapons. I'm looking forward to see what Ben does. The Bears are going to win this football game. Tommy, tell me why I'm wrong.
Well, I mean, like, look, I think that this is honestly like the Steelers and the Bears are kind of like the same team in a lot of ways. Obviously on opposite sides of the league in terms of conference, but these teams, I think the main thing that this game is going to come down to is who wins the turnover battle is going to determine the winner of this game. Like both of these teams are so dependent on turnovers that if the Steelers have 3 turnovers, they're probably going to win the game. You saw it when they played the Colts. They forced a bunch of turnovers. They won that game. Same thing against the Patriots. And those are two of the best teams in the NFL, let alone the AFC. So I think and like you really just don't know what Steelers team you're going to get week in and week out. You saw it against the Packers; they looked horrible, and then they beat the Colts, and then they looked horrible against the Chargers, and then they beat the Bengals and held Jamar Chase to like 14 yards. So it's like you really just can't have a good like gauge on what team is going to show up. I do think that a big thing is Rodgers going to play or not. I think that like the whole like Steelers haven't won in Soldier Field and however long like kind of gets like disregarded if we have Aaron Rodgers as the quarterback because I think he has the best winning percentage in Soldier Field history. And like we talked about in the pre-show, like this is probably going to be Rodgers' last chance ever to play the Bears. Unless he plays one more year, but even if he plays one more year, they're not going to play the Bears next year. So this is
It's
probably
Super Bowl.
that's true, potentially that. But in Soldier Field, I guess would be the last opportunity for sure. And so, he has a broken wrist. Is it in the best interest of the Steelers just because Rodgers wants to play against the Bears one more time to let him play with a broken wrist or let Rudolph go out there and spin it? I don't know. I'm not in practice seeing how he's looking. But if he's good to go, then I think you got to play him because, like we just said, he's probably the best quarterback ever in Soldier Field history. So, but hey, Rudolph didn't look bad. He came in second half. He only had 2 drives because the defense scored 2 touchdowns in the second half, which is pretty wild. But I think either way, this game is still like I started off with, going to come down to the turnover battle. I don't know if Sam mentioned this, but the Bears have 5 wins while trailing after the 2-minute warning this year, which is ridiculous.
And I
And
fucking hate it. I hate it. Like, dude,
at
just
some
win a
point,
game like normally, please.
at some point, that is either going to end or you're just going to be the 2024 Chiefs, and that's going to be how it goes all year. So I don't know. Maybe it ends this week. I believe the last time these teams played, it came down to a Cassius Marsh penalty at the end of the game. Former Steeler, current Bear at that point, where he got a penalty and that put the Steelers in field goal range. They won it. I could see this game coming down at the very end too. Obviously, 2.5 spread. I'm taking the Steelers. Like I'm not gonna not take the Steelers, but like in terms of like what I would offer to people who are going to put actual money on this game, I think that it's going to be a game that I wouldn't touch, and I'm not going to touch it in real life. But for the sake of the show, I'm going to take the Steelers because I'm a Steelers fan. But this game is going to come down to the turnovers. Like that's really what it is. If the Bears force more turnovers than the Steelers, they're going to win the game. If Steelers force more, they're going to win the game. And both Rodgers and Rudolph take care of the football pretty well. And so does Caleb this year. So it's really going to be an exciting game to watch, and it's going to be whoever wins turnover battle wins it, in my opinion.
Nickson?
Yeah. So obviously, you know, it's going to be like Tommy just said, it's going to be hard to pick in this game because the teams are so even. And honestly, we've seen the Steelers be so inconsistent on a week to week basis. But because I am expecting Aaron Rodgers to play, because why would he not play? Like Tommy said, this is probably going to be his last time playing against the Bears in Chicago. He will probably be high off of, I don't even know how much ashwagandha and Percocets, and that is probably bad news for all Bears fans. So I think against my own interest, I really want the Bears to win this game in real life. I will be rooting hard as hell for the Bears, but for the viewers of this show, Aaron Rodgers high against the Bears, it's not that is not good news for anybody, any Chicagoan, anything having to do with the Bears. So I think the Steelers cover. I honestly think they're probably going to win this game. The only way I see the Bears getting this done is their defense continuing to be opportunistic, which, like Tommy said, Aaron Rodgers really hasn't been very turnover prone unless they're forcing a bunch of fumbles. I feel like they've kind of figured out the whole tight end situation. Darnell Washington looks like an absolute monster. He's getting comfortable. They're running the ball a little bit better these last couple weeks. It's been a formula for success for them, and unless Rodgers goes out there and looks like crap, because he broke his wrist, I really think the Steelers are going to win this game. I pray to God that they don't, but I think that they are.
Fair enough. Cobe, live from the car, may or may not be driving.
No, I luckily just parked. Um, so I am going to go with the Bears for this game, just for the pure fact of what Tommy said, which I thought was a phenomenal point, is you just don't know what you're getting with the Steelers team week in and week out. Sometimes you're like, how does this defense have so many studs and they're playing awful? And then there's weeks they force 5 turnovers and you're like, this is the Steelers defense. It's been really up and down for them. Same thing with the offense. They started out and they were actually clicking, and everyone was like, whoa, we've never seen a Steelers team where it's the offense doing more than the defense. And then like they have some games where, they haven't played as good. They put up 14 points, 21 points, 7 points, whatever it is. They lose to the Bengals. Then they go and beat the Bengals. It's just, you really don't know what you're going to get. And the Bears have just proved to me that they can win in a lot of different fashions. We saw them 2-3 weeks ago. They won 49-47, 48-46, whatever it was, that crazy Bengals game. But then they go win a 19-17 this past week. Like, they can go in a shootout. Ben Johnson's got his bag of tricks. But they also can win those grit and grind games. Caleb Williams has shown with the game on the line, he's one of those guys that can make a play. Not every quarterback has that. Like, just personally, like, if I'm the Colts, like, Colts are a great team, which I know the Colts have nothing to do with this game, but Colts, if they're a great team, but if you have a drive coming down to Daniel Jones, I'm nervous. The Bears, I feel like we game on the line, Caleb, go get us a field goal, go get us a touchdown. You can he's proven that you can trust him to go down and do that. So I think this game is going to be close, and I think I trust the Bears to pull out a close victory more than I trust the Steelers right now. Also, this has to do with Rodgers' uncertainty to play. He's either playing through a broken wrist or he's not playing at all. So I'm going to take the Bears to cover to win by a 2.5 at least. I win by a field goal. I think that's reasonable. And I also am going to take the over because I feel like this game is going to have a lot of points scored. If this was a prime time game, I would take the under. But because this is a random 1 o'clock, I think that, if Rodgers plays, you know what he does to the Bears. No offense, Sam. That's easy.
It's none taken.
If Rodgers plays, Steelers are guaranteed. Steelers team total right there already hit the second they clear Rodgers to play. And then I think Caleb's gonna go out there to play. They're number 1 in their division right now. I think they know that. And the playoffs, is a real going into the season. Playoffs was possible. You're like Bears can make the playoffs, but offensive line is shaky. Caleb rookie season shaky. Now it's in sight. It's realistic. I think they know that, and I think that they are going to be locked in to be like, hey, we're in maybe the toughest division in football. We have to score points. We have to win. So I think the over this game, even if Mason Rudolph plays, I think he's not as bad as people think. But I think that both teams are super locked in. Both are fighting for tough divisions. Steelers are fighting to win their division. Ravens are kind of back. If Joe Burrow comes back, you never know what could happen. Obviously, I just talked about the Bears division. Both teams are super locked in. I think they both have a lot riding on the end of their season, next couple games. And I think the over hits, and I think the Bears cover.
Well
Well,
said.
couple,
Well
couple,
said.
couple more, couple more things I just forgot to say. Both teams, Bears and Steelers, are currently winning their divisions. Both teams are not the betting favorite to finish winning their division, which is disrespectful. Obviously, that Vegas doesn't believe in either of these teams, but they both found ways to win. Obviously, the Steelers got a little bump from Lamar being out, but have been able to hold off here for the last couple weeks since he came back. And another thing too, like Caleb has said on multiple occasions that the guy that he kind of looked up to growing up was Rodgers and that he wanted to kind of emulate his play style. So this will be kind of a cool moment for him to be able to face him for the first time. And, I think that there's part that's same thing that was kind of the discussion when Jordan Love was playing against for the first time. It's like part of that is like you want to beat him because, you looked up to him and now you want to prove that you're that guy. But then also part of it is like, you looked up to this guy, he knows that, and he wants to kind of put on a show too. And obviously it's a must-win game for both guys. So I think this game is going to be really entertaining. These teams are so similar, like I said, and I think that this game is going to be one that is going to come down to some weird shit at the end, which has kind of been the theme of the Bears all season. Like Cobe said, Caleb has proven 5 times now that he's able to come back under 2 minutes trailing, and that's something that you guys, especially with a new culture, like new coach, being able to find ways to win games at the end is a super, super important sign of like the team coming together in the locker room. And you've seen the videos of Ben Johnson juicing the guys up after the game. And I love the Bears. I'm a Caleb guy, and I want them to do well, just not this week. But I'm excited for this one. And yeah.
Yeah, that should be fun. It's always a fun uni matchup too. You get that dirty grass at Soldier and the two
Oh, yeah.
classic original uniforms. It'll be fun. I'm excited. Not really, but go Bears. Bear down. Moving on to the opposite conference, the American Football Conference. The Colts, 8-2, are heading to Arrowhead to face the Chiefs. Shockingly, well, not shockingly, if you've known how the Chiefs in Vegas operate, Chiefs are minus 3.5, 3.5 point favorites this week. Total's sitting at 50.5. We're looking in shootout territory here, according to the books. Nickson, what are we thinking?
Ooh, this is a tough one. The Colts have been the early juggernaut of the NFL, and the Chiefs have been the big disappointment in the NFL. And last week we saw them lose to Bo Nix. Patrick Mahomes looked, I would say, bad. I wouldn't like he didn't look good. Threw a bonehead pick that basically lost them the game. Offense wasn't able to do anything. I know Denver's defense is really good. They have an amazing pass rush, but from what we've seen from the Chiefs in years past, winning close games, pulling it off at the end. Basically what the Bears have been doing, right? Pulling it off at the end, winning regardless of what the situation is, shootout, ugly win, just getting it done. They've been the exact opposite this year. And with that being said, I still don't feel comfortable picking the Colts. I don't. I don't know why. I don't know if it's Daniel Jones. I know Jonathan Taylor. Honestly, in my opinion, all things considered, outside of maybe Drake May, Jonathan Taylor should be the MVP of the NFL this year. He has absolutely carried that team to the record that they have right now on the offensive side of the ball and has given Daniel Jones the ability to look the way he looks because they're just running the ball so effectively and efficiently. But I don't know why I'm picking the Chiefs here, but I'm still going to pick the Chiefs. I don't know if it's because it's a home game, and I don't think that they're going to play bad 2 weeks in a row. I just can't pick against the Chiefs this game. I don't know if it's because I'm also not the biggest Colts believer, in all fairness, as well. But I'm taking the Chiefs.
I'll go after you. I agree with you in that it's really weird to look at this one considering the records, and everyone knows that it's like the Chiefs have these weird lines all the time, especially when it seems like they're struggling. But then you figure out, oh well, maybe they're not struggling. The Colts are sitting at 8-2, and they came off a brutal loss to the Steelers where they looked like shit, and then went to Berlin or somewhere in Germany, I think, and played the Falcons.
Madrid.
No, that was
That was the
Dolphins. That was
Dolphins. I
Dolphins
think it was
Commanders.
Berlin.
But yeah,
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 you're
it
right.
was it
You're
was
right. You're right.
Germany. And they played the Falcons, and it was like the Falcons are just a disaster right now, and they barely squeaked away with that win. And as everyone knows by now, like I'm a big believer in that when there's a weird line like this favoring the Chiefs, the best bet is to normally take the Chiefs. So I'm going to take the Chiefs, but my only reservation with that was that 3.5 versus 2.5 is a big difference, and a lot of
It
us
is.
last week got cooked on the Rams Seahawks game. A bunch of us picked Rams 2.5. Someone misses an extra point somewhere, and the game ends up a 2-pointer.
Yeah.
So that pissed me off filling in the cards. But yeah, I just don't want to bet against the Chiefs in this situation. And outside of Jonathan Taylor, the last couple weeks, the Colts haven't really impressed me. Um, and I think Spags is going to, I think that game plan is going to be solely focused on stopping the run. And they're going to tell Daniel Jones, or the Chiefs defense is going to tell Daniel Jones, hey, if you are really good, you better show us because we're not letting Jonathan Taylor do anything. I think that's going to be their whole approach to it. And Arrowhead is a hostile environment, and Daniel Jones hasn't looked great outside of like the beginning of the season. And he's definitely, as it goes on, it's clear that Jonathan Taylor in that run game is carrying the Colts offense. So yeah, I'm going to go with the Chiefs here. I wanted to take the over. Um, but again, with the Chiefs, another betting trend with them is it really goes opposite ways. They're a team that can kind of play any sort of game. They can play rock'em sock'em, just 19-13. They can also get into a shootout if they want to. So I'm kind of going to steer away from that there. But I don't see a way the Chiefs don't come out with a win, and I don't want to bet on the Colts making it a field goal game. So take 3.5.
Um, I am like Nickson said, I don't feel good about it, but I am going to take the Colts. I mean, the Chiefs are the Chiefs, but the Colts won. They're coming off a bye week. They're well rested. They've had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. Chiefs just played a grinded out tough game against the Broncos, which and had a really tough loss. The Colts are coming in. They've had 2 weeks to prepare. You know, they remind me of the Vikings of last year. I think the Colts are going to be a really good regular season team and then probably lose the first playoff game they get. That's just what I think is going to happen to them. They remind me a lot of the Vikings from last year. Like the resemblance of Sam Darnold to Daniel Jones. I feel like Sam Darnold's a lot better in my opinion, but they're both like they were like second chance quarterbacks. New like different team, playing great, winning games. People weren't really expecting the Vikings to be like that last year. And then people weren't really expecting the Colts to be like that. Now the Colts are really good. But I think they win this game, man. The Chiefs, they just might be having, not as great of a year. It happens. Like the defense, they're missing some pieces. Chris Jones has not played Chris Jones football. Travis Kelce, their best offensive weapon is like 37, a little bit slower. He plays like 5 good games a year, and he normally saves 1 or 2 of them for the playoffs. Uh, Mahomes is honestly having like a down year. I was looking at something the other day. On the road right now, he's completing like 50% of his passes. He's like the most inaccurate he's been in a while. I'm not sure what the problem is. Like if it's weapons, if Mahomes is just struggling, if it's coaching, but I just think the Colts right now are a better football team than the Chiefs, and to get them plus, even though it seems like a trap game, I feel like you have to take the Colts coming off a bye. Jonathan Taylor, like in theory, it's like, hey, stop Jonathan Taylor, make Daniel Jones win the game. In theory, that's easy. But then when Jonathan Taylor gets the rock in his hands, it doesn't get as easy. So I think the Colts pull this game out. I think I'm gonna take the over. I'm a little. iffy on it. I think the Colts is a better pick than the over, especially because Daniel Jones just got put on the injury report with a hamstring injury. And if Daniel Jones doesn't play, the Colts would be lucky to score. But I think if he does play, I think this is going to have to be a shootout. Chiefs have played in some kind of low scoring games. I feel like their offense has got to start clicking, especially they're at risk of not making the playoffs, not winning their division for the first time in some years. They definitely got to get things going. I wouldn't be surprised if they pull out some sort of trick play, some type of something to just get this team going.
Yeah,
And I think
fake
the Colts,
punt, something.
yeah, something, fake punt, double pass, something. So because that offense needs to get going. Patrick Mahomes needs to get going. And I think, if the Chiefs are scoring, I think the Colts, been one of the best offenses in the league so far. They're going to be scoring too. So I'm going to take the over. I like the Colts in this game. Like I said, I think they're a really good regular season team, and I think they're just playing a lot better football. And there's nothing that I've seen from the Chiefs, even though besides the fact that they're the Chiefs, like there's nothing really that they've showed that would make me pick them, except for the fact that they have the best quarterback in the world and that they are probably the best franchise right now that's been going on for the last 10 years. But it's a new season. You can't take last year and the year before that and put it into this year. And I think the Colts are they're just playing like one of the best teams in the league right now. So I'm gonna take the Colts. I'm gonna take the over.
Thomas?
Yeah, I mean, respect to you, Cobe. I thought this was like when Sam sent me the card and it was like, all right, we're doing Colts Chiefs. It's kind of like I thought everyone was just going to take the Chiefs. So respect to you. I mean, the Colts are the better football team this year, but I just feel like this is like a gotta have it type game for the Chiefs. And so I think that they'll probably win. And obviously, the line sucks. 3.5, like this very, very well could be a Chiefs 3-point win at the end of the game. And then, we get fucked. But I think that the Chiefs are going to win. So I'm going to go with the Chiefs minus 3.5. I'm also going to take the over 50.5 because I think the points are going to be scored. But there's also universal. This is like 13-16, but I feel like it's probably more likely that the over hits. And a lot of the things that I was going to say have been said by Sam and Nickson. I think that the Chiefs, like, you kind of just have to give them that respect that they're probably not going to be 5-6. Like right now, they're not going to win the division. Like unless the Broncos lose every single game that they have left on the schedule, the Chiefs are going to be a wild card team, which is scary. But I do think that they're going to find a way to get into the dance just because of the fact that they have Mahomes. You got to give them that respect. And I think that they're going to win this game because they have to. It's in Kansas City, which helps. And yeah, I just feel like it's a gotta have it type game. And like the Colts have been a great team this year, but like if it comes down to a last second drive, kind of like how it was last week with the Chiefs with Bo Nix. Can Daniel Jones make that happen like with his arm? I don't know. And there is a formula to stop Jonathan Taylor. Like the Steelers held him in check the entire game. I don't know if that's replicable, but I do think that the Chiefs, like, stopping Jonathan Taylor is going to be the number one priority, and then having to make Daniel Jones win the game is like Nickson said. I think that's going to be what it comes down to, and I just feel like the Chiefs have to win this game, so they're going to. So I'm going with Chiefs and over.
I'd like to be the first to welcome back Sean. You had an amazing appearance last week. What do you think about the Colts Chiefs game? And while you're at it, you can give your Bears Steelers pick too.
If anyone was watching last week and took Sean's advice on Sean Tucker to have a big game, you made a lot of money.
Damn right you did.
Did I actually say that?
Oh yeah. Oh, you did.
You're like,
You couldn't
you're
figure out who the Bucks were playing, but you knew Sean Tucker was going to have a game.
you're like talking like about something completely different, and then you're like, also watch out for Sean Tucker this week. Third string running back.
Well, I was more sane then because I didn't start him on my fantasy team, and that was the difference right there.
You got to practice what you preach.
Yeah, it's true. Well, thanks, boys, for those kind words. For the Colts Chiefs game, I'm going to kind of reiterate what Tommy was saying. I caught the end bit of it. I agree. I don't think the Chiefs can go 5-6. I mean, even though they do look down than last year, they're not winning all these miraculous one-score games. Who kind of eerie team that's very similar to the Chiefs last year are the Chicago Bears. Bears are kind of squeaking away these wins the way the Chiefs were last year. So kind of seeing some parallels, and the fact that it might be a little phony, but we'll get to that on the Bears Steelers pick coming up. But I've kind of alluded to it. I'm going to take the Chiefs here. They can't go 5-6. The Colts are a little bit on fraud watch after the Steelers massacre. So yeah, give me the Chiefs. Um,
And then why are the Steelers going to cover?
Steelers are going to cover. One, because Rodgers practiced today, so that's a good sign on all the people saying that he might be out. So I think he's kind of got that old school mentality. He'll play through the injuries, whether he does have a broken wrist or not. I think he does. But I think he'll play through it. He's had a little bit of happy feet the last couple weeks, which has kind of concerned me. He's a little bit like frantic in the pocket as of late, which I don't really know where that came from, but hopefully he can stay more grounded and play a good game. Like I said, the Bears kind of been getting lucky these last couple weeks. Like last week, it was a big like return on the last drive to set him up for a game-winning field goal. The past weeks, it was like a blocked field goal to win. Other weeks, it was like a late game fumble. Like all these like little like fluke. I don't want to call it fluke because it's part of the game, but it's like they're I'm gonna throw a English reference. They're on like the wheel of Lady Fortuna.
Hey,
And
good teams find a way to win, Sean.
well, let me finish my reference here because
Okay, yeah.
they're on the spinning wheel of Lady Fortuna and they're spinning up, but it's a wheel, so they're gonna have to go down eventually. I think they might start slipping down here against the Steelers defense, who is very hot or cold. They're extremely hot last week. Hopefully they can stay hot and be the Steelers defense that everyone was preaching at the beginning of the year. So those are my picks. Steelers, Chiefs, book it.
Martin, what is our outlook for this week?
So I'll start with the Rooney Massaro Bowl in the Bears and Steelers. Don't have too much to add to the prior discourse. But I am going to ride with the fighting Chicago Bears. I've liked what I've seen this season with maturity from Caleb Williams and how Ben Johnson has kind of really turned around that franchise for the better. They have some good depth in the secondary, and the pass rush has been pretty fierce all along. Steelers, like they leave me wanting more every single week, except for the week when they beat the Colts. But besides the point, this game's going to be gritty like they always are. I'll take the Bears spread, and then give me the under as well. I feel like that's a safe pick whenever Chicago and Pittsburgh line up against each other.
All right. Your Colts facing the Chiefs.
I mean, I will be. Look, I've been on the show since week one, and I've done a lot of reflection since then, both personally and professionally. I catch a lot of flack from my friends. One being the only Colts friend in like multiple friend groups is like very, it's usually a tough racket because we've historically, like the past 3 or 4 years, have just been the laughing stock of the league, like barely missing the playoffs in previous years, then signing Daniel Jones this offseason. And like, look, I'll be the first one to tell you, I was the number one non-believer when it came to Indiana Jones. And I'm happy to eat my words. I've been eating my words all season. I've fully come around, come on the train. I mean, really helps when you have an MVP candidate as your running back, and the defense that you kind of spent the entire offseason and during the season accumulating in Sauce Gardner is starting to look a little bit more solid. Like we're holding teams to, a lot better points per game than we did last year. We're better at stopping the run. Secondary needs some work. That's why we signed a guy like Sauce. So I've liked what I've seen so far this year. And I mean, going into Arrowhead's never going to be an easy feat. It absolutely should be the Sunday night game, but I understand you can't flex Baker versus Stafford out of there. But I'm going to take the Colts here with the points. It'll be a fantastic game to watch. I'm also going to take Colts money line just because my card can use a little bit of a boost. And I'm very confident they're going to win this game. But I'm going to take the points there as well. So double that up on my card.
Yep.
There's not really much else to say. where I think the momentum's coming in our direction. Is this a must-win game for the Chiefs? Like where they're sitting, were they 5-4 right
Five
now?
and
Five and
five.
five. So this would push them to a losing record. Uh, in a competitive division where the Broncos seem to be kind of eking out that playoff spot, and then what nobody in the NFL wants to see is the Chiefs getting a backdoor like seventh seed into the playoffs because nobody wants to face Mahomes in the latter end of the season. Unfortunately, it's probably going to happen, but I think the Colts come into Arrowhead, take care of business, and give the Chiefs a losing record. That's going to be incredible, man. But I'm all in on the Indianapolis Colts.
Fuck yeah. And then finally, what are you putting your life on the line for?
Um, I've had a pretty solid record when it comes to my locks this week. Don't know if I would follow the chin into battle this week because I am taking the Browns +4, or is it +4 or +3? Whatever,
Three and a
whatever the
half.
points are.
Three and a
Plus
hook.
3.5 against the Raiders. Rule number one of sports betting uh, is you don't bet on bad teams. So I think Tommy took the other side of this bet, taking Raiders spread, which honestly might be worse than taking Browns spread. Not because they're a worse team, I think they are, but you never want to bet on a bad team, let alone give points when you're betting on a bad team as well. But this game's going to be close, no matter what way you look at it, whether it's 10-7 or 30-27. I think the Browns will keep the game close, stop the run, rush the passer. This is not a Shedeur bet. Do not conflate this by me thinking that saying that I'm a Shedeur guy.
I'm totally
I'm not a,
conflicting it as that.
I'm not a Shedeur guy. All right, I'm not a Shedeur guy, but it's perfect timing, baby. Brown spread.
Fuck yeah. All right, on to our best part of the show. That'll segue us right in there. Mortal Locks. Coby, what are you dying for this week?
All right, so I had a good bounce back last week after missing my first lock since week 1 2 weeks ago. I came back last week, gave y'all some free money. You're welcome. I also just want to give a quick shout out to Michael Wilson because he absolutely fucking deserves it. I woke up late on Sunday. Marvin Harrison Jr.'s out. I'm like, what am I going to do? Waiver wire has nothing on it. I'm like, all right, Michael Wilson, let's do this thing. Like 35 points. And he won me my fantasy game. So shout out to Michael Wilson because he deserves it. Has nothing to do with my lock, though. So far, I have taken as my lock the obvious high scoring game every week. And I'm 9-2 in locks, 8-9, I think 9-2, whatever my record is. And I'm gonna keep that going. Sunday night shootout this week. Rams, Bucks. Two of the highest powered offenses in the NFL, two top 5 MVP candidates at quarterback. I mean, this is just about to be an electric game. I mean, obviously Stafford has an insane MVP case. That team is just, that offense is firing. McVay, Kyron, Puka, whoever you throw out there, that offense is firing. The Bucks, Baker's been absolutely an absolute stud this year. You know what? All the receivers they got out there, Abuka's been great. Tez Johnson, whoever they got out there, they've been playing their butt off. Maybe Bucky Irving comes back this week. Probably not. Who knows? Either way, like Sean said, Sean Tucker's going to be there either way, so they're going to be absolutely fine. These are just two amazing offenses. I feel like I really don't have to give too much description about why these teams, their offenses are so great. They have great quarterbacks,
Yeah,
great weapons, great coaches.
We've talked plenty about the Bucks this year, so everyone knows
Yeah.
our thoughts on them.
Yeah, everyone knows our thoughts on the Bucks. The Rams, I said it like 3 weeks. I think I've taken the Rams as part of my lock like 3 out of the last like 5-6 weeks. I say it every week. Stafford has a crazy MVP case. That team is real deal. Super Bowl contender. I think Sunday night, there's always due to be like a primetime shootout or two. I think we've only really had like one primetime shootout. It was like week 1. Maybe we've had 2. And I think this is going to be the next one. I mean, this is just two of the best offenses in the league. It's at 49.5, I want to say. Not even a
Yeah.
50s total. Yeah, not even a 50s total. Chiefs Colts has a higher over under than Rams Bucks, which I think is crazy. Not even a 50s total. Hammer this. I bounced back last week. I'm giving y'all free money again. Take the over. And I got to go into work, so I love and appreciate y'all boys, and I'll see you.
Love you, Cobb. Thank you, buddy. Nickson,
All
What do
right,
we
y'all.
got?
My lock of the week this week. I'm gonna start it off with a little Bible verse.
Hmm.
The horse is prepared for battle, but victory comes from the Lord. Can I get an amen?
Hey, man.
Listen, Jameis Winston is going against the Lions this week. The Lions, whatever you want to say, whether it could be, the Eagles defense is just absolutely elite, but have not looked good at all. And that Giants team, they're weird. Their record is bad. They've had a lot of injuries. They've had three different quarterbacks this year, but there's two things that have been consistent. That defense is absolutely stout, and they have been able to, at least through with all their quarterback play and all their injuries, they have been able to move the ball. And I think that this Lions team, the way that they're trending right now, the spread is 10. I'm not saying that the Giants are going to win this game. I'm saying they're going to cover, and good teams cover. 10 points is a lot for a team. They had to switch. Their head coach is calling plays right now. They were 0 for 6 on fourth downs last week. They couldn't get their ball to their star receiver, much to my chagrin as a Amon-Ra starter. He only had like 12 points. I am not confident in the way the Lions are playing ball right now, and I think that the Giants are going to be able to cover 10. All right. And Jameis Winston's gonna come in with his Bible verses and his great, his great quotes. He's gonna rally the guys after a tough loss last week. Through an interception, which a lot of people were saying was Jalen Hyatt's fault. He gave up on the route. I think they bounce back and they cover against this Lions team. That's my lock of the week.
I'll jump in. I've had a lot of locks this year. I'm treading closer to 500 now. I started off just piss poor. I feel like really confident in this one, probably the most I have all year. And it's the Eagles versus the Cowboys under 47 and a half. And that's first of all a divisional matchup. Second of all, the Eagles have won their last two games just by wicked defense play. I mean, it is prime Vic Fangio, division leader, November defense for the Eagles right now, and it looks unstoppable, looks unbeatable. That Jalen Phillips pickup was even bigger than it seemed at the moment, and it seemed huge at the moment. So they're playing unreal. Um, and their offense isn't really doing much. There's a lot of dysfunction going on there. Saquon doesn't look like Saquon. He's still good, but it's not like the game breaker he was last year. Jalen Hurts looks all out of sorts. He can make a play when he needs to. With all the weapons they have, that just the offense just isn't clicking. And the Cowboys, on the other hand, came off of their bye. And I'm not going to put too much stock in it since it was the Raiders who are just abysmal this year. Their defense, especially with those additions of Logan Wilson and Quinn Williams, it looked 10 times better. I mean, a big thing as a no or as a knower of Eberflus defenses is that he drops into zone a lot. Sometimes he's been playing a little more man this year, but it's the big thing is you got to get pressure down with four. And I've never seen an Eberflus defense put as much pressure on the quarterback as they did last week. And I think Quinn Williams was a big part of that. So I think their defense has kind of picked it up a little bit. They're picking up the scheme better. They've got a lot of talent there. So I don't think they're to be slept on. And everyone's talking about the Cowboys' high-powered offense and whatnot. Yeah, they've got a ton of playmakers, and I mean that duo of Pickens and Lamb is unreal. Javonte Williams runs the ball like crazy, but like I said, the Eagles' defense is just unstoppable right now. And while they did kind of have their way with the Raiders, it's the Raiders, and there's still just some mistakes there. It doesn't look like the high-powered, perfect, explosive offense that we've seen from Dak Prescott in the past. And so combine all that with it being a divisional game, 47 and a half is too much for that.
I like that. I originally had the Cowboys plus 3.5 as my lock of the week, just because I feel like this Eagles team hasn't been living up to standard. Cowboys put up points and 3.5. It just seemed like a game that the Eagles would win by 3 and Cowboys would cover. But I've decided to change that day of. Um, I have some data that I'm going to bring here, but before I get into that, this is good. This is potentially the worst game of the NFL season. We've got the Cleveland Browns taking on the Las Vegas Raiders in Vegas. Raiders are minus 3.5. And I'm going to be taking the Raiders to cover 3.5. Obviously, 3.5 sucks, but you're playing the Cleveland Browns. Shedeur Sanders is the starter, and like, look, I'm not a Shedeur hater. I'm not a Shedeur truther. It seems to be like you have to be on one side or the other. We know what side Sam stands on. But I have some data. Shedeur Sanders is the 42nd starting quarterback since the Browns rejoined the NFL in 1999. And he is the 18th different quarterback to make his first career start in the regular season for the Browns in that time period. And of those previous 17, they're 0 and 17 straight up. And I'm not saying that Shedeur is any better or any worse than any of those guys, but I do think that the Browns are in a tough spot here. The Raiders are a bad football team. Browns are a bad football team. Browns had a lot of chances to win that game against Baltimore last week, and as a rookie quarterback, getting your first action, coming in mid game, that's a tough spot to be in, especially against Baltimore Ravens, good team. So you can't really blame Shedeur for not looking too good. And I don't think that this game, if he plays bad in this game too, it's like a be all end all. But I do think that the Browns are going to lose this football game. 3.5 sucks, but I could see the Raiders winning this by 7. Raiders play, some games kind of close, and Gino's probably, not writing back anymore at this juncture of his career. But I do think that they're going to win this game by 3.5 points. And the data doesn't lie. 0 and 17, he's number 18, probably going to be 0 and 18. When I saw that stat, I was like, all right, I'm going with the Raiders. So yeah, can't wait to watch this horrible football game.
Yeah.
When it pops into red zone every 4 hours. So
Yeah, streaks like that don't normally break with the Browns, especially in a good way. But Sean, live from the beer store. It's just me and the Rooney brothers now. Have you figured out a lock?
I have. Thank you, Sam. I have interesting lock here. I don't think it's getting enough attention. Um, Atlanta Falcons, Kirk Cousin has returned. And he is a dog against maybe one of the worst teams in the league, the New Orleans Saints. I'm a little disrespected for my man Kirk because 2 years ago he was a clear MVP candidate before he had a bad injury that might have just ruined his career. But regardless, I feel like he's had a lot of time to rest up, heal. Obviously, he's fresh off the bench from Michael Penix unfortunately getting hurt. So I think he's as healthy as he's been in a while. And the fact that he's a dog against the Saints is pretty shocking to me. So give me the Falcons +3, I think it is.
Two and a half. I just checked. I didn't know they were a dog either. That is kind of crazy.
Yeah, 2.5. I feel like that's like I've never been like super sure about a lock before, but this seems like actually free. Like feel like Kirk has some juice left in him.
Yeah, I like
So
that. It gets a full week of preparation too.
yeah.
Well,
So
listen, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening to what the boys had to say. Some good takes today. Some good games.
yeah.
And if
Jesus Christ.
if we don't have a program drop before next Thursday, enjoy the holiday. And stay tuned for the cards audio version this weekend. It's all coming out. You know the drill. Like and subscribe.
Are there any good games on Thanksgiving?